My name is Brad Stewart, and I have the privilege and honor of being the Vice President and Provost here at the original campus of Montgomery College, Takoma Park, Silver Spring. On behalf of our more than 7,000 students and 300-plus faculty and staff, welcome back to what promises to be another action-packed semester here at Montgomery College. In fact, 2015 promises to be a really exciting time to work and learn in America's community colleges. President Obama has again placed community colleges, here's how we say it in Iowa, smack dab at the center of the national discussion about access to higher education. His proposal to make community college free, and you should clap, for millions of our students underscores the crucial role we play in growing the national economy. Make no mistake, this idea signals a seismic shift in higher education terrain. If Congress funds his proposal, millions of our students will have access to a quality education, good jobs, and the ability to provide for their families, a shot at our version of the American dream. And now the whole country is beginning to fully understand what you and I and our alumni have known for decades, that community colleges are the best start for the life they want. Tom Hanks, an alum of Chabot College in Hayward, California, recently penned an amazing op-ed in the New York Times called "I Owe It All to Community College." How many of you saw that? It's really cool. Here's my favorite part, because it speaks to the quality of the education available at community colleges, a fact which, in my humble opinion, sometimes goes unnoticed. So here's Tom. Classes I took at Chabot have rippled through my professional pond. I produced the HBO miniseries, John Adams, with an outline format I learned from a pipe-smoking historian, James Cuvellas, whose lectures were riveting. Mary Lou Fitzgerald's studies in Shakespeare taught me how the 5-act structure of Richard III, The Tempest, and Othello focused their themes. Wow, POTUS and Tom Hanks singing our praises, and it's only January. What's next? Well, I know one thing that's next. This afternoon, members of the Advising Steering Group and the Academic Department Advising Committee will be working with the instructional faculty and the counseling faculty to roll out the next phase of the college's developmental advising plan. And while this may not be a seismic shift for Montgomery College, it is a huge step forward towards student success and completion. Please help me give the members of ASG and ADAC a big thank you, and I look forward to seeing the instructional and counseling faculty members spread out in meeting rooms across the campus this afternoon.
How are y'all doing? Good. Well, it's good to see everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you back to the spring semester, spring 2015. And before we do that, I was sitting here thinking last year we didn't have the opportunity to come together in the spring. You remember we were snowed in last year, so it's delightful to be back here today. I'd like to start by thanking Brad Stewart and the phenomenal team here at the Takoma Park Silver Spring campus. They go out of their way to make sure that we feel welcomed and valued. Thank them so much. I also want to thank our special events team, Susan Sullivan and the crew, MCTV. They do an outstanding job of making sure that we are always feeling welcome and valued. And also, out of my office, Brian Baker and the team that work with him to plan this week's activities. Very grateful to him and the group for that. I also like to take a moment to acknowledge, we do have a trustee here with us today, Trustee Marcia Smith. I just want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being here today. We saw each other yesterday morning at the event. She says, I know we don't normally come to these things, but I want to come to this one because she wanted to hear our speaker later on this morning. So we're so delighted to have you here, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity to hear lots of great things and take it back to our board that we're doing at the college. So it's wonderful to see you here at this campus the day after we celebrated as a nation Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'd like to think that Dr. King would be very proud of the work that we're doing here at Montgomery College. I think that he would be delighted by the diversity that our school represents. In fact, I even think about that in terms of younger generations. Yesterday was my son's birthday, and he turned 8, and we had a birthday party of 14 little boys. Yeah, I hope you have some sympathy. We went to this place where they could jump and flip and do stuff like that. And I sat there, though, and took a picture of the group of friends that he invited to his party. After we selected and weeded out a few because he got too many on the list, I was absolutely amazed to look at the diversity of his class of people who are in his second grade class, but also that he chose to invite to his party. His friends that he calls and wants to play with every day, who help me understand the world in a very different place. So I think Dr. King would also be inspired by that vision. I think that he would also be very inspired by the ambitious standards that we have here at Montgomery College. And most of all, I think that he would be pleased with the efforts that we're making at Montgomery College to call out, name, and address the achievement gap in academics within higher education. In Dr. King's honor, I went to see the new movie Selma. Anybody seen Selma? And there's lots of great movies this time of year to see. And this was an intense, often dangerous grassroots work that took place to pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Now, what I think is amazing that many of us saw this, we didn't live it. Many of us lived it in this room as well. And the idea that it reminded me about something that we talked about in the fall, vulnerability. There are several scenes in the movie in which peaceful activists, both black and white, confront heavily armed Southern sheriff's departments. In one scene, they face off on a bridge and where a line of unarmed activists stand shoulder to shoulder, facing a line of officers with batons, horses, tear gas, guns, and other makeshift instruments of violence. It is a powerful scene because of the contrast, the vulnerability of the protesters, ordinary folks like you and me, and in the face of the state's extraordinary force. What struck me was the choice of those protesters to make themselves vulnerable. They realized that their voices could be louder if they exposed their vulnerability publicly, and they were right. The televised image of the police beating unarmed, peaceful citizens was transformational. It galvanized the country and the American public to demand the passage of the Voting Rights Act. Now, you may think that this type of drama, this embracing of vulnerability, is something mythical, a gesture from a more heroic era. I'd like to argue with you that today it is very much alive in what we see transpiring in our world right now. If we look at the protest of police actions in Ferguson and New York, the demonstrators chose to dramatize their vulnerability by reacting to surrendering to the police with hands up, don't shoot. A similar thing is happening in France right now. After a tragic terrorist massacre, 1.5 million people took to the streets to say, "Je suis Charlie." They put themselves in the position of victims of violence and stood with them. I'd even offer that the movement to bring back our girls was also an expression of this. They put themselves in the position of victims of violence and stood with them. It's a powerful statement, a profound statement about how closely we are intertwined with the world. And I think the musings of music artist Common, when he accepted his Golden Globe Art Award this past week, says that, and I quote him, "The first day I stepped on the set of Selma, I began to feel like this was bigger than a movie. As I got to know the people of the civil rights movement, I realized I am the hopeful woman who was denied her right to vote. I am the caring white supporter who was killed in the front lines of freedom. I am the unarmed black kid who maybe needed a hand, but instead was given a bullet. I am the 2 fallen police officers murdered in the line of duty. Selma has awakened my humanity. So this brings me back to the topic of vulnerability. Generally speaking, we as humans don't like to be vulnerable. It's uncomfortable, it's unsettling, but there can be power in vulnerability. Montgomery College has several dynamics that could be viewed as vulnerabilities. Many of our students do not have access to education. Many of them have not had a generation of college graduates to help guide them through the college experience. Some of them don't have the language skills to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to them at this institution. Many of them do not have the freedom to study full-time. Many institutions would see these as vulnerabilities, but we have the option and the choice to view them as opportunities. We have the opportunity to craft ambitious, creative, comprehensive plans to close the achievement gap, which we're doing at Montgomery College. In fact, I received a phenomenal implementation plan from the team when I returned back after the break. We have the opportunity to invest in creatively to solve our workforce development problems in the county, and we're doing that here at Montgomery College. We have the opportunity to offer not just English as a second language classes, but ESOL programs tailored specifically for healthcare jobs and another for building today's trade jobs. That's creativity, and that's something to be proud of. I want to emphasize that we are achieving these results because we took stock of our vulnerability as an organization. And talking honestly about the places where we needed to improve, we have created opportunities. I'm proud that Montgomery College is becoming a model for community colleges across the country precisely because we have embraced our challenges head on. I suspect that's why we were chosen as the lead institution to lead 14 Maryland community colleges in the $15 million TAC grant that is looking at workforce development in the cybersecurity space. We received that grant in December. I'm sure that's why both the Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Commerce came to our bioscience building at the Germantown campus to showcase our workforce development programs on a national stage. I'm pretty sure that's why our college was on national and local television stations last week when President Obama announced his efforts to make the first 2 years of make 2 years of community colleges free to qualified students. And as Dr. Stewart mentioned earlier, there are those from the world of acting who've also celebrated this. We are ahead of the pack in many areas because we took stock of our vulnerabilities and we continue to target them. So now we are several years ahead of schools that are now just realizing they have an access dilemma or an achievement gap challenge or workforce development gap. Now, all of this is to tell you that you are doing terrific work. And you're doing it in a way that makes a difference in the lives of your students and the broader community. But we all know that we face some new vulnerabilities that we have less control over. We have a new political and regulatory environment that continues to focus on higher education. We have a new governor. We have several new members of the General Assembly. We have 2 new members on the Montgomery County Education Committee. We have a state budget that is coming up short and that leaves us vulnerable in a number of fronts. We don't have a lot of control over these factors, no matter how much I wish we did. What we do have control over, though, is how we choose to internalize these circumstances. We can live in fear, constantly looking over our shoulders, guarding our energies, and preserving our limited stores of talent. We can lash out at these circumstances, rant and rave about the injustices that are being reaped on higher education for several years in a row, or we can alienate others that we work with, that we need to partner with to help make sure that success doesn't happen. I don't think that's how Montgomery College chooses to do work. We can sit with our vulnerability, though, take stock of our strengths and our service, and craft our own reality. I like to think we might learn something from those protesters I was just talking about a moment ago. There is a lot of power in just showing up, vulnerabilities and all. Sometimes those vulnerabilities can be an asset and you didn't even see it. And by the way, fear tends to obscure accurate self-assessment. So let's not make excuses for who we are. Let's remind ourselves, as many of us already do, of whom we serve. I'm that single mother in a class from 6 to 9 p.m. every evening working towards her GED. I'm that immigrant son who is taking English classes while he's doing a carpentry certificate to help his family back in El Salvador. I'm that graphic designer student who has gone back to school to retrain after being laid off. And let's remind ourselves of the extraordinary plan to close the achievement gap so that there is truly equality of the opportunity that Dr. King dreamed of. Let's remind our legislators of the quantifiable economic value that we bring to Montgomery County through our partnerships with industry and federal agencies. Let's remind the folks in Annapolis how long we've been building career pathways and how we're enabling them to step into the middle class, that them being our students. Let's tell everyone who will listen how closely we work with industries in Maryland to make sure our students have the skills needed. Let's tell them how closely we work with four-year institutions to transfer students from Montgomery College. Let's keep our focus on our values and on our community, and the rest, I believe, will sort itself out. I will tell you one person in our community who is keeping his focus very well, and that is Professor Kenyatta Roberts. You may have heard that Professor Rogers was selected as the Maryland Professor of the Year by the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching and the Council for the Advancement and Support of Education. That's a long name. Professor Rogers has taught at Montgomery College since 2000 and is an accomplished professional actor himself. He teaches voice and diction in the theater department and has a whole long list of awards to his credit. One other bragging point that I like to mention is that Kenyatta is the 8th Montgomery College professor in 11 years to receive this prestigious honor. And as I like to tell my colleagues across the state, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's about quality, and I celebrate our faculty for what they do in our classrooms. I'm going to hand things over to several speakers from our senior team to talk about some important initiatives and to offer a mid-year assessment of them. And then we'll hear from our guest speaker, Mr. Chuck Underwood, who is going to talk about the complexities of having 4 generations in the workplace, and in our case, also in the classroom. He's really a pioneer in the field of generational study and has some terrific insight to offer. I'm also excited, as was mentioned earlier, about the phase 2 of the rollout of the College Developmental Advising Plan. The Advising Steering Group and the Academic Department Advising Committee have been working very hard on this important task, and I really appreciate their commitment and look forward to the training today. What I love about this, I'm going off script, so I apologize, is the idea that every employee of the organization who comes in contact with students has some responsibility to help a student navigate the Montgomery College experience. Based on your expertise, you may be doing different things within that, but every person has an obligation and a commitment to ensure the students understand how to navigate this institution. I'm very excited about this opportunity and what it says, and I hope that our counseling and academic faculty make every effort to attend these meetings this afternoon. I think it's going to be a very productive one, and I wish each of you good luck as we start the semester. I happen to think that 2015 is going to be an interesting year, not only in terms of our legislative front, but also in terms of what we're going to be doing as an institution to meet our students where they are, to empower them to change their lives, and to enrich the life of our community. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. Thank you, Dr. Pollard. Good morning. Good morning. Wonderful. I am so absolutely delighted to be officially kicking off this spring semester with all of you. I am honored to acknowledge this year's Carnegie Foundation and Case Maryland Professor of the Year, Kenyatta Rogers. Kenyatta, thank you for inspiring our students in the classroom, on stage, and in their lives. You and your colleagues are making the kinds of impression that last for a lifetime. We are on quite a winning streak with this award. Mary Fergal, Joan Naik, Susan Bantams, Deborah Stearns, Don Avery, John Hammond, Greg Wall, and now Kenyatta. That doesn't happen by chance. Montgomery College professors have become widely known for excellence in teaching and for helping students realize their dreams. Congratulations. It has been just over a year since I had the opportunity to lead academic division of the college. From that vantage point, my view of the impact of our work on students and the community has deepened. And my appreciation for the role that each of you plays in achieving our mission has grown exponentially. It is indeed an impressive view. Much of the past year was focused on transitioning to the new academic structure. Already, your tremendous efforts are showing good results. New courses have been added in several disciplines to give students more options to complete their degrees. Our programs are being aligned with four-year degrees, four-year institutions, and also with the industry. College-wide deans and department chairs are advocating to effect positive changes in the state policies and placement practices, proving to be powerful advocates as informed, empowered leaders of their discipline. Soon, many disciplines will be advanced by advisory groups. We are working more closely with MCPS on curriculum alignment to ensure that their graduates are ready for the rigor of an MC education. And this is just the beginning. We had several other notable developments last semester. After years of research and rich discussions, we gained internal approval for the redesigned General Studies degree program and for 2 fully online degrees. We successfully advocated to maintain the quality of our programs while adjusting them to comply with the College and Career Readiness and College Completion Act. We brought our degrees to 60 credits as required by the law. Many of you leading the charge to attain waivers for certain programs, including education, health sciences, engineering, and some arts program, to ensure that our students transfer as juniors. As Dr. Pollard mentioned, we learned that college would lead a statewide consortium to implement a $15 million workforce development grant with a focus on building cybersecurity pipeline, a vital step to becoming county's workforce development hub. Our responsibility in this program is to bring 3,000 students in cybersecurity training, and about 2,000 have to receive some credential certificate degrees, and about 1,500 have to get employment in our local cybersecurity industry. We traveled to India as part of the county executive Ike Leggett's Sister City mission trip and signed a memorandum of understanding that will connect our Global Humanities Institute with O.P. Jindal Global University. This partnership will influence what we do to prepare students for this world of global interconnectedness, with a greater understanding of culture, language, political, and economic relationships between countries, and with the qualities needed to succeed in a multicultural society. The past year has been focused on many operational issues. I'm very excited to shift the division's effort in the coming year into what lies at our core, academic issues. Foremost among them, we are continuing the dialogue to transform general education, something that colleges and universities across the country are grappling with. This is critical work. Every degree-seeking student takes general education courses. They provide the foundation on which students build their lives, where we explore what a student should know and what knowledge and skills they should have as citizens of our community and the global community. Fortunately, we have a secret weapon. Professor Stammy Peary and Michael Farrell, they and their committee are passionate in their pursuit of this redesigned general education offering. The faculty can expect the proposal to come to vote this semester. A committee will also convene this semester to develop an academic master plan. Please watch for invitations to join work groups to participate in the interdivisional effort to align academic goals and strategies with MC 2020 and the division's student success measures. We are creating a center that addresses the unique needs of our part-time faculty, and we are also leveraging our partnerships with industry leaders to give students rich learning experiences and practical skills. Finally, following the good work of the advising steering group and academic department advising committee, our advising practices will align with the state's College Readiness Act. The law now stipulates that we develop a degree plan, and I quote the law here, in consultation with an academic advisor in the student's degree program, and that students who are in danger of falling behind the program benchmark shall be required to consult with an academic advisor before registration. We all must play a role in shaping the experiences of our students. And if you are wondering if the students are listening, consider this comment that was posted online in response to a Washington Post editorial that compared for-profit colleges to community colleges. And I quote, and this is a comment from one of our students: I had phenomenal professors and guidance counselors at Montgomery College. In fact, they re-inspired my faith in education and saved my collegiate career. Professor Borkman and Professor Starr are among the many teachers who changed the way I thought about politics and society. Ms. Schleicher was responsible for shifting through the rubble of my transcript, telling me exactly what I needed, and setting me on my way to success. How dare you slander their hard work? The people at these institutions change lives. You uninspired, number-crunching half-wit. End of the quote. I think this deserves a round of applause. I think this does it for us, and I think maybe I should end on that quote. I encourage instructional and counseling faculty members to attend this afternoon's advising information sessions. Others will receive information later in the semester. Why are we doing all these things? So more students can complete their degrees on time and for less money and can successfully transfer or enter the workforce, or often both. We remain solely and keenly focused on student success. Thank you and have a great semester.
Good morning, everyone, and it's great to be back in the spring semester, and I hear our enrollment is moving up, so I'm excited to hear about that. I just wanted to tell you one thing. Today I'm going to present just some information about focusing on just Destination Montgomery College today. You know, I have responsibility for a large number of areas, but one of the most important areas that I focus on constantly is our employees and what we're doing here at Montgomery College. I just have a quick story and some great exciting news for our family. Today, my aunt, Dr. Barbara Lee Guillory, will leave the United States and go to Saudi Arabia University to establish a master's degree program for speech pathology. So while we're elated for my aunt, Dr. Barbara, I'm a little concerned because she had opportunities at other universities, Jackson State, Louisiana Southern University, and another location, but she chose to go to Saudi Arabia for opportunity, and I think for competitive pay. And she's not young either. She's an established expert in her field, and so we're honored and happy for her, but it told me something about where we are in this new global competitive workforce. So there are several components I want to talk today, and I want to talk about our goal at Montgomery College to continue to attract, retain, develop, and recognize our employees in this new and emerging time. I want to talk a little bit about Destination Montgomery College, a little bit of information about our workforce and who we are, some of the things that we're doing in our strategic talent management area through the hard work of the folks in human resources and strategic talent management. And lastly, I just want to recognize just a few of our employees who are doing some great work in our administrative and fiscal services area. With that, there are several tenets to our Destination Montgomery College. We want to be a destination employer by delivering a common employee experience, to be a premier institution of higher education, and to be a stellar community and business partner in Montgomery County. And we're going to do that with a laser-like focus on the future through our people, diversity, and inclusion, in employee engagement, because engagement matters, through leadership development and employee training, through our strategic talent management program and succession planning, in order to get us to being one college with many opportunities. What does our workforce look like? Remember I said I wanted to just give you a little overview. We see in the workforce trends across the industry throughout the country that signifies that we need to change, we need to be agile, and we need to be adaptable. Multiple sources out there highlight the importance of paying keen attention to the demographic shifts. Globally, there are multiple generations in the workforce. Baby boomers are retiring, and millennials will comprise 50% of the workforce by 2020. There are swift advances in technology, employee health and well-being are being focused on, and there's a greater emphasis on retraining and lifelong learning, and we know that because of the students that our faculty teach every day. And in order for us to be competitive in the global marketplace, we have to continue to increase our diversity, resource, develop our talent sources, and all this will contribute to the development of MC's people strategy. So it's critical for us to make sure that we have the right people in the right places doing the right things. So who are we at MC? And I'm taking data from the fall of 2013, because I don't have the most recent data, but here's a little snippet. 59% of our workforce were female, and 42% were non-white. 44% were instructional faculty, and 13% were continuing education faculty. 54% were over 50 years old, and 5% were under 30. 46% had fewer than 5 years at Montgomery College, and 3% had over 30 years. 37% of full-time instructional faculty held a doctorate degree. We are a complex, multi-generational workforce living in a competitive market era. We're 5 generations at work in Montgomery College, and we celebrate that. We recognize the importance of managing generational differences well and the nuances of relating employees of 5 different generations with very distinct skills, expertise, and talents. We're building collaborative relationships, mentoring, creating pathways that will help us to strategically navigate, leverage, and motivate our multi-generational workforce. MC employees are the critical asset to our destination employer program. You knew I had to have dollar signs in my presentation, because guess what? We invest 80% of our budget dollars in our employees, right? You're our most critical asset. With nearly 2/3 of our workforce eligible for retirement within the next 5 years, and with an expected $1 billion or so budget shortfall in Montgomery County in the next year, and amidst all the nuances of the political realities, we need to focus on strategic talent management and talent continuity. What are we doing then to address the changing workforce market? We're developing our strategic talents within our organization with tools, merging the culture, our strategy, and the tools together. We've revised our administrator leadership competencies. That program is underway. We have a new supervisor onboarding process, which is in development, which will include both orientation and mentoring. We are also doing research, design, and development work to continue on 4 new learning pathways: customer service, conflict and communication, change management, diversity, and inclusion. All that's happening within our HR STEM area to help our employees. We're also developing a 4-session dialogue circle, which will be facilitated in the spring. And we help this year through the hard work of our CPOD unit with supporting and developing and working with our faculty for the new, what I call our Chair Academy investment. So we thank Krista Walker and her team for all the hard work that they did. We're committed to our people again, diversity and inclusion. We want to focus on sustainability of people and practices by identifying high potential talent at the college. We strive to integrate our career development with performance planning and development learning on a competency backbone in order to align talent development with the MC 2020 plan. Remember, engagement matters. We want you to be proud to tell others that you work at Montgomery College. We want you to know how you can keep engaged, and we want to hear from you. As you know, we'll issue the employee engagement survey this spring, and we look forward to everyone participating in that, because we want your feedback, we want your input on how to grow and make Montgomery College a better place. Leadership development. We are increasing access to training, developing mentoring, our mentoring program, and designing the President's Leadership Institute this year. Of course, strategic talent management and succession planning, where our goal is to ensure business continuity by strengthening existing talent, performance management processes, and to build the bench and strength of our pipeline of talent by enhancing our ability to strategically develop our employees and talent. And finally, again, we want to be one college, many career opportunities, and we're going to do this by doing things such as supporting a culture of growth, looking for deep talent in the organization and within all of our generations, supporting programs designed to recognize and reward employee contributions, and providing you with the opportunity to understand how your contributions impact student success. And finally, I just want to recognize a few employees before I leave the stage. We're doing a lot of work this year on the Year of the Employee, which will probably extend beyond this year. I asked the HR STEM folks to help us focus on our employees. And I feel that the Year of the Employee program and all the activities that are going to go around that will help support and align us with our strategic talent management, and also give us an opportunity to get to know one another and get to know about one another, because we are a large, complex, and multi-generational organization. I want to thank the committee who's worked on that, Mr. Ramon de la Cruz, Ms. Kima Earl, Dr. Tacey Holliday, Ms. Jabette Luzapone, Professor Joe Nake, Ms. Melissa Pace, Ms. Rosanna Panera, Mr. Carl Shorter, Dr. Brenda Williams, and Ms. Felicia Zulsdorf. I also just want to recognize two quick employees. Ms. Debbie Aceto, who is our actual classification manager, this year won the 2014 Maryland Performance Excellence Awards program as the Rookie of the Year Award. And, thank you. The Rookie of the Year Award is in recognition of her being an examiner for the team. So she did a great job on that. And it's a national recognition under the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Awards. And I also want to recognize Liliana Rojas, because she got me up and got me out and got me to sign up to go work out every morning. So every morning at 5 o'clock I'm working out. But I want to recognize her for being honored as a Wellness Council of America, receiving her faculty status for that program. And she does an absolute great job for our wellness. So thank you, Liliana. I just want to thank all of you for making Montgomery College a destination employer and making that a reality.
So good morning and Happy New Year. I'm Dave Sears, Senior VP Advancement and Community Engagement, and I'm going to update you on 3 of our major initiatives: the MC 2020 campaign, community engagement, and our communications initiatives. In terms of our campaign, we have raised $2.1 million already this year towards our goal of $4 million. And that's thanks to the leadership of Carol Ronroot, our Director of Development, and our development team. I think that deserves a round of applause. That $2 million is being raised as part of the campaign priorities, and that's for scholarships, ACEs, workforce development initiatives, and to close out our matching grant for the Global Humanities Institute. Overall, the foundation has raised $7.1 million since the start of the campaign, so we think that we're going to hit that $30 million goal a lot sooner than 2020. So I think that deserves a round of applause, too. I'm not shy about asking for money, and I'm not shy about asking for volunteers either. And I'd say our team has done a great job recruiting an employee campaign committee. And I want to recognize Darren Campen and Monica Trent, Joe Thompson, Jason Rivera, Carl Smith, Atul Roy, Mario Parkan, and Sharon Maxwell. They're our employee campaign committee. They help us with trying to get employees and retirees to give back to our students. And I want to thank them for their work so far. So thank you all for what you're doing. So like I said, I'm not afraid to ask you for money, or anybody for money, especially if it's for a good cause, and our students are the best cause in the world. So out in the lobby area, I'd like you to think about talking to Greg Enlow and Noah Sapoznik, Francine Walker, Carol Ronroot, our development staff, about doing a payroll deduction gift. You know, books are expensive. Even if the America's College Promise goes through, we're still going to have needs for our students. And please, join the 200 employees that are already given to our foundation for our students so that we can give over 1,200 scholarships every year. So please consider that. And thank you again. I think a round of applause on giving 1,200 scholarships is pretty cool. You're going to do a lot of clapping. So if you have personal devices in your hand, you're probably going to break them as I talk. So community engagement. We have our 2 community engagement centers up and running at the Gaithersburg Library and the East County Regional Services Center. We're finalizing an MOU with the East County. We just got one signed with the Gaithersburg Library. And we're going to have a wonderful dedication ceremony in February to open the Gaithersburg Library Community Engagement Center officially. This work, though, wouldn't be possible without three key groups. One is the Office of Community Partnerships with the county library system. They've been fabulous partners in being able to provide the space for us to do the work in the centers. But more importantly, I'd like to recognize our workforce development staff and faculty. You guys are doing an amazing job offering child development and computer classes in those locations. There's waiting lists for all of the classes, and it wouldn't be possible without you taking our college out to the community. So thank you to Sanjay and George Payne, Steve Greenfield, Ed Palanzinski, Clarice Summersall, Donna Kinnearney, Dorothy Umans, Ken Nelson, Ed Roberts, and the entire WDCE faculty and staff that are helping us. Thank you very much. I never knew what community engagement was going to be like when it was handed to me in 2012, but I can say it's, other than raising money, it's probably the favorite thing and most impactful thing that we do, and I really enjoy it, and I thank all of you for what you do for it. In addition, to expand our services in our community, we're going to offer translation and interpretation services this year through a company called Schreiber Translation, a local firm. That's them calling now. Schreiber has the ability to translate any of our publications into virtually any language that we need. They can also do simultaneous translation. So if you had an event that had residents with limited English proficiency, we could do a simultaneous translation. So as I talk, somebody could be hearing it in Spanish, in Amharic, or any language that we would need it based on the constituency that we're trying to serve. So my office will be sending out a memo shortly about how you can access those services for your classes and for your community engagement work. Communications. A couple different things to tell you about. We're going to launch a brand new college logo as part of our One College model. We'll be rolling that out. The logo should be done by April, and it's going to take us 18 months to 2 years to get all the logos changed out. We've got to change them on vehicles, to facilities, to stationery, but we'll be sharing you a rollout plan with you. It's going to make sure that this logo truly says Montgomery College instead of the current M with the kind of paper punch that we have through it. It's nice, right? So as we're redesigning the logo, the college is going to be launching a web redesign, and I think that's something that we've desperately needed. We've got a great leader in Carl Whitman with IT, a great collaborative partner. We're going to be working with all aspects of the college and with a firm with expertise in this area. And we're looking to have the first phase of the web redesign completed by the fall of 2015, and then there'll be subsequent rollout phases after that. But Carl Whitman, Fong Ban, Tim Lansky, Mike Mills, Ray Gilmer, Lisa Berlin, and their respective staffs, you guys are doing a great job to get that launched, so thank you very much. We did 2 communication audits through Claris Communications and Widmeyer Communications. You'll be getting a memo from us on what their recommendations were to improve our communications internally and externally in February. And then our team will be out talking to the governance councils. So I encourage you to go to your governance councils and hear more about what we're going to do to improve those services through communications. So now I get to share the cool stuff we do. Advertising. So a lot of people ask about how we advertise. When I first started, we only used 3 mediums. Now we use 9 on basically the same budget. One of the latest, go marketing. So our marketing budget is about 0.3% of the operating budget, so it's very small compared to other colleges and universities, but we make the most of it. And this is our latest ad campaign. This is what we're doing in the metro stations closest to your campuses. We have a general ad. And then we have ads that are career-based, healthy careers, construction management. We've got hospitality management. And those are some of the really cool ads that you can see. So if you take the metro, you're going to see us. In addition, we just joined online ad networks. So we're going to be advertising on the websites for Pandora, Disney, YouTube, Politico, IMDb, Washington Post, NCAA football, and Oprah. So, if you don't know us, you will now. I want to thank our Lisa Berlin, our creative services team that crafted the ads, both for the metro stations and the ads they're doing for the websites. They're doing a great job, and a round of applause for my marketing team. So there's marketing, but then there's also public relations, and we're blessed with a new great Vice President of Communications, Ray Gilmer. Ray, how are you? One of the great things that Ray has done in working with his staff, Marcus Rosano and Fritzi Bodenheimer, is last week they garnered not only local attention for us, but national and international attention around the America's College Promise proposal. And I want to share with you where they talk to people. So the publicity they got last week was from Maryland Public Television, Voice of America, Al Jazeera, NBC, CBS News, the Baltimore Sun. They did a fabulous job on getting our message out and putting the college at the forefront on this issue, and I want to thank them, and a round of applause for Ray and Marcus and Fritzi. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Pollard. We upended your schedule tremendously last 2 weeks, and you've been just a fabulous chief spokesperson on this issue, so thank you. So to close, again, I want to thank the faculty and staff. I think we have probably the best faculty and staff of any community college, if not college in the country. I can't tell you how many times our faculty and staff, at a drop of a hat, will come help us with a student in need. They'll assist us with a fundraising proposal and go out of their way to do an interview for us. So I'm really inspired by all that our faculty and staff do for us, and I want to thank you very much. So faculty and staff, a round of applause for you. Okay, your hands will only hurt 2 more times here. I also want to thank WDCE, HR STEM, and the IT areas. I think we often take you for granted. But I think we need to thank you for keeping our networks up and running every day, for processing our benefits and new hires, and our workforce development work every single day in the county, not just at our campus locations, but also at our satellite locations as well.
In my remarks, I will share the Montgomery College journey of a student who experiences the touchstones of student services: access, engagement, and student success. These are college-wide areas of responsibility for the deans of student services, deans of students in student services, and they are strategies to close the achievement gap. Now imagine that one of these talented students is James, who is typical of many of our students who, despite their gifts and talents, have many hurdles to overcome or hurdles to clear before they reach the finish line. And for the sake of these students and their peers, I think we should all be grateful that there is a Montgomery College with talented faculty, staff, and administrators such as you. Now, James graduated from high school here in Montgomery County, and he began his career at Bowie State University. He was at the university, but he was not really engaged. He came home every weekend. At the end of his first year, he found out that there was not enough money for him to re-enroll for the second year. He was disappointed, but he wasn't really passionate about the college, the university, because he really didn't have any direction. He didn't know what he was going to do. But because he is a talented person, he was able to easily get a job, and his job was at the Park Service. After some time on the job, he became bored. He became bored because he wasn't able to use his many talents and his numerous skills. His friends in high school began to talk about their ambitious plans, and then he began to feel as if he were being left behind. So bored and discouraged, he began to spend his money on drugs, and he quickly became addicted. And this was a really low point in his life, where he said it seemed as if everything he touched, rather than changing to gold, it became worthless and turned to ashes. One day, he had a really bad car accident, one so serious and catastrophic that he should not have been able to walk away, but he survived. And during his time of recuperation, he began to reflect on his life and realize that he was throwing his life away. He was grateful to be alive, and he wanted to change the trajectory of his life. But when he thought about what he might do, anything that he could imagine seemed as if it was a closed door. And every time he opened that door, there was one message, and that message was, a college education is the gateway to success. So as soon as he was well enough, he quit his job and applied to Montgomery College. This is a college in his community. He was feeling great with these decisions, and he said that he actually felt a fire in his belly to make something of his life. After being admitted to the college, he applied for financial aid. But he was ineligible for financial aid because he had worked at that dead-end job the previous year. Man, he felt as if a door of opportunity had been slammed in his face. He felt rejected, he felt discouraged. And then someone in the financial aid office said, you may be able to get a job as a student assistant in one of the offices at the college. Well, because he was skilled and talented, he was readily hired in one of the offices at the college. Working at the college gave him more time on campus, and he felt as if he were finally connecting with the community. He felt he belonged. He sought counseling and advising. Working with a counselor, he was able to regain confidence in his abilities. He began to think about his purpose in life and he wanted to chart a path to some concrete goals. Working with an advisor, he was able to develop an educational plan that outlined what courses he needed to take and in what sequence in order to reach his academic goals. Doors were opening again, one right after another. After a year and a half, he was able to qualify for financial aid. The collaboration between financial aid and counseling and advising provided the kind of assurance and monitoring that James needed just to know that he was on the right track and that people cared about whether or not he succeeded. The next service James took advantage of was career services. Here, he explored his options related to his interest and what he wanted to accomplish. Encouraged by his family, he was able to begin to dream big and to see himself in a career beyond college. James says that he is grateful to Montgomery College for being a major part of his life during a critical period. He hates to leave the college because of all the support he received here and because of the fine faculty and staff he encountered. He knows that he has a solid foundation to be successful at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where he has been accepted. He completed his associate's degree in December 2014 and will begin his studies in psychology in just a few weeks. Our college has great resources and an outstanding educational program. Collaboration up and down and across the college in a seamless manner is what contributes most to the success of students like James. Out for constituent review shortly is a draft of the Student Success Policy. The policy formalizes the college's commitment to student success, and the procedures outline clear and concrete ways that the college will implement key conditions that will have a high impact on student success. Now, many of these students that we have will not have the same motivation as James had. So many of those key conditions for student success are mandated, such as advising for the creation of educational plans, assessment for appropriate course placement, and accessible and informative orientations. Our virtual orientation will be available for students who are unable to make a scheduled face-to-face orientation because we believe that orientation provides a vital bridge for students to transition into college. So as our students return and as new students arrive, let's keep James and his fellow students in mind who might have many hurdles to clear before they reach their goals. Thank you.